many people in Delhi, including a large number who should know better, journalists, reporters, TV anchors, and most important of all, people in the government, in the Home Ministry and security establishment, continue to insist that the present uprising in Kashmir is far less dangerous than what we faced in 1990. This has been the result of this has been a certain level of complacency and a willingness to allow the state government to deal with this problem, which in fact has been catastrophic for us. The present situation is totally different from 1990, because in 1990 the insurgents had guns. What is more, they were the first to use them. The Indian army, or if you like the Indian state, or if you take like the state police, used guns in retaliation and to some extent in defense. This was a distinction which I found when I went there in 1990, was very much in people's minds, even if they did not talk about it. I had noticed that there was disapproval of what the boys had done. There was disapproval even inside their own families, which I came to learn of later as I got to know them better over the next 3 or 4 years. Therefore, most of Kashmir society was appalled. They sympathized with the goals of the boys, the insurgents, but they did not approve of their methods. That, and rather than the military crackdowns that followed, was the main reason why by 1995 the militants had themselves decided that they would not resort to the gun anymore. They gave up the gun. Today, by contrast, I think as of now, as I speak, about 103 people have died in the last 3 months, since June 11th. And all of them have died without a gun in their hands. This is police killing unarmed youth. We all know that the unarmed youth have been throwing stones. We know that they have become very good at throwing stones, and that the stones are thrown with great accuracy and force. We know that more than 800 policemen have been injured, but the fact is, injury, particularly injury with a stone, however serious, doesn't even begin to compare with the death of a young man and the total desolation that falls upon the family of the young man and his friends. Each death has been followed by a ceremony, a burial, a procession, and a collective sorrow which has bound thousands of people together in the anger that is being felt by the family. And you now have had 100 such deaths. 72% of Kashmir consist of youth under the age of 25. These are the people who are today being radicalized at a rate that Delhi has absolutely no understanding of. This lack of understanding was reflected in the first all-party meeting that the Prime Minister held. That all-party meeting not only did not come out with any way forward, it came out with, it only revealed the utter confusion and lack of information, and in fact lack of sensitivity in the mainstream political parties. They continue to fight, notably Congress and BJP, to fight their Delhi battles, their all India turf battles, when Kashmir was burning and people were dying every day. And the Kashmiris noticed this, and they began to say, we want nothing to do with India, because while we stay with India, there is no guarantee that we will not become a plaything, a khilona of the completely unprincipled politics that we find in Delhi today. In India today, you cannot make us the victims of your political struggles. Now, this added only a fillip to the already ongoing struggle. But what it did, the danger was that this was an argument that went to the heart of people who wanted to remain with India, and it was a qualitative change. To some extent, I find that while there's been a very big change between then and the second all-party meeting, which took place on the 15th, yesterday, 15th of September, the change is still not sufficient. There was, from all the accounts I've received in the meeting, there was a much greater level of seriousness. There was much greater awareness of the threat that it has developed in Kashmir. There was a willingness to blame the Omar Abdullah government, at least for not having recognized it, not taken it seriously, and not shown the required sympathy for the people when they were dying to police bullets. There was a huge amount of criticism of that, and there was a desire to stop this at any cost and to reach out to the Kashmiris. But it's all been too little too late. In fact, even the reaching out, the most important thing has been the reaching out to the Congress and Mrs. Sonia Gandhi in particular, to the PDP, specifically to Mehbooba Mufti and Mufti Saeed. Mufti Saeed met the Prime Minister yesterday, Mehbooba Mufti talked to and then met, I believe, Mrs. Gandhi. The point is, had this happened 3 months earlier, there would have been no intifada, because the Kashmiris have been saying, this government must go because it must be held constitutionally responsible for what they are doing to our youth. Instead, what the curfews have done is they have destroyed life in Kashmir. Today, the schools have been closed for so long that the entire Kashmiri student population has missed 1 year of schooling because they haven't been able to go to examinations. 200 children of the rich were actually airlifted to Delhi to sit their exams, and of course, this was headlines. But the 200,000 who were not able to sit their examinations, there was not one word of sympathy or even a mention of them in the Indian media. Now, this is the kind of thing that Kashmiris see all the time, and it really rubs them up the wrong way. Now, that is only the beginning. SMSs have been cut off. The level of oversight of cellular phone calls is so great that the phone call system is breaking down, and nobody wants to talk on the phone anymore from Kashmir. There is a collective paranoia that is built up. There is not food, medicines are running out. The blockade, the curfews mean that food cannot come in from the villages into the cities, particularly Srinagar. And people have to go to hospital, people have to have children, have to give birth to babies. If there is a curfew, what do? This kind of, it's a kind of way, the intention of 24-hour curfews is to destroy the will to resist, to bring people down to their knees. It's not happening in Kashmir, and even if it were to happen, the moment that curfew is lifted, the reaction will be so huge that we will not be able to cope with it, which is why we cannot continue with this curfew. Time is running out. And the all-party meeting yesterday had absolutely no idea of this. In these circumstances, not to take a decision and say, we will send a parliamentary delegation. What on earth will the parliamentary delegation find out that it has not already seen in the thousands of articles that have been written by first-class journalists, in the media coverage in TV? On the contrary, the fact that they are going there, and the fact that there is a hard, radical right-wing element inside the stone pelters, they are going to make that an excuse for bringing out people in spite of the curfew when the delegation arises, with the intention of creating a bloodbath between the airport and Srinagar itself. They are going to try and stop this parliamentary delegation from even getting into Srinagar. I am warning you of that. And what is going to happen is, once the Home Ministry gets wind of this, they will say, please don't go just now, it's too dangerous. So, of course, procrastination will continue. The time has come for decisions, and Delhi is so averse to taking decisions on any issue. We've seen this over the last 6.5 years. This has become a totally inert government on almost everything except the Narega schemes. And I'm afraid that is not enough to justify a government, however good it may be. And this is the problem that we are facing in Kashmir. We are allowing Kashmir to go out of our hands through sheer paralysis and lack of political will. We keep searching for a consensus between fighting political parties in Delhi in order to do something in Kashmir. That consensus is so elusive, it doesn't serve anybody's interest to help the Congress to fix Kashmir. Don't you understand? And we are looking for a consensus there. The concept of leadership, the very concept of leadership has disappeared from the Congress party today. That you have to balance gains and losses, and that you have to take action that gives you more gains and less losses. This idea has completely vanished from the Congress party, and this is at the root of what is happening today. I think the only way forward today is to dismiss the Abdullah government, because it deserves dismissal. It is not representative of the Kashmiris. To impose governor's rule, to immediately lift, to announce that we are lifting curfew and section 144, but to appeal to the people, please, whatever you do, you have full rights to political activity, but respect the law, respect property, and keep yourselves in check. Cooperate with the police will help you. This is not theory. This has been done. It was done with tremendous success in August 2008, when there were much bigger demonstrations than anything we have seen today. We had demonstrations then of 2 and 3 lakhs of people, and not one person was hurt, because the police drew certain red lines and said, look, we will not stop you at all. This is your right to express your anger or discontent, but please do it within the framework. This is also what Mirwais Umar Farooq did when he attempted to revive, when he rang up Omar Abdullah and said that we are going to take this procession, but we guarantee you it will be peaceful. And then what we saw was the burning of a building 500 meters away from this procession, and the immediate, within minutes, slapping of the blame for that Omar Farooq, when not a single person from his procession had gone anywhere near the building. We should make it clear that as and when public peace returns, and this depends upon the people of Kashmir themselves, both the Armed Forces Special Powers Act and the Disturbed Areas Act will be removed. I want to clarify one thing. The Armed Forces Special Powers Act protects the army when it acts on its own, not in aid of civilian authority, but on its own to maintain law and order. The Disturbed Areas Act is required to protect the police, and particularly the Central Reserve Police Force. So, in fact, it is the Disturbed Areas Act that is much more important. This demand that the Armed Forces Special Powers Act be repealed is a symbolic thing that the Omar Abdullah government wanted to put over on the Kashmiris, and the Kashmiris were not fooled. I got hundreds of phone calls from Kashmir telling me that who do these people think we are? You think we don't know that the army has not been doing anything at all for the last 2 years? Therefore, you have to remove both, but we have to make it conditional on the maintenance of peace. Say that they can always be brought back. We will not leave the army, we will not ask the army to do these dirty jobs without protection, but we hope that there will be no need for any of these jobs in the future. And that is what the cooperation is about. Last, I think it is important to promise them a fresh election and to urge them to take part in it. And this time I can tell you something, the separatists, as they are called, will not stay out of the election. They will not boycott it. They will probably not take part themselves, but they will allow independents and others to do it, and you will get the freest election that Kashmir has ever had. We need also to reassure them that the IB will not try to manage through threat and through rigging of ballot boxes, for both of which I have absolute unambiguous proof, because the people who did it have sat in my drawing room and told me that they did this in Srinagar in 2008 and they are regretting it deeply today. The goal of our actions must be to make Kashmiris, to empower them and make them full citizens of a democratic India. Please remember, between 2002 and 2006, even till May 2008, they had this feeling. As a result, in 2006, when there was an election, a by-election in 4 constituencies in Kashmir, the turnout was 70%. I think that we had actually licked the insurgency. We didn't know it in 2008. One catastrophic decision, for which the credit was taken in public in the Hindu by Mr. M.K. Narayanan, the previous National Security Advisor, caused everything to go into reverse gear. We are paying the price today, but we can turn it around again.